What's up, everybody? Today we're gonna tie the Redfish Crack. It's a pretty well-known redfish fly pattern. It has worked really well for me in the past. I pretty much never leave the dock without about 8 to 10 of these things in my box. And the cool thing about this fly is you can tie it in a bunch of different colors. You can tie it in a bunch of different sizes. You can tie it in a more traditional color like what I have here, or you can tie it in like all white, all black, and depending on the water clarity, sometimes different colors work better. So it's definitely one of those flies that you can mess around with, use different materials, experiment a little bit, and overall just a really versatile fly. So I hope you guys tie some up and go catch some fish on them. Redfish Crack. All right. So we're gonna start with 210 Ultra Thread and Florida Fire Orange. I haven't tied one of these in with some orange thread in a while. Let me go ahead and tie on our eyes. These are medium orange lead eyes. Figure eights. Do some parachute wraps here just to get them nice and locked in. Then we're gonna work our thread all the way to the back. We're gonna go a little bit down the bend, right to about there. Then we're going to grab some of this Pearl Chenille large orange, which is going to act as our egg sac. I cut off about 3 inches or so. Most likely won't use that whole 3 inches, but better to have too much than too little. Go ahead and lock that in place. Work my thread back up, get it out of the way. And then we'll palmer this on. Try and kind of create like a little ball of this stuff. Kind of push those fibers back if you can. Once you get to about where the hook starts to straighten out again, it's generally where I end that. Bring my thread back, lock this in place. Snip off that. Try and clean it up just a little bit, pull all those fibers back, and maybe bring the thread just a little bit over it. Next, I'm going to grab my Tan Extra Select Craft Fur. And you can use like a bunch of different materials here. You can use polar fiber, you can use the Extra Select Craft Fur, you can use normal craft fur, you can probably use some sort of feather if you wanted to. Generally, the way I usually tie them is with either polar fiber or Extra Select Craft Fur if I can. So once I got a nice clump of this craft fur cut off, grab it, then usually a lot of underfluff in this stuff. So you just kind of grab it between 2 fingers and really pull out as much of that underfluff as you can. Just kind of clean it up. That looks pretty good. Then I'll go on the other side, and usually there's a bunch of pretty long hairs that are sticking out the back, and you can either just pull those out, or what I like to do is I just pull them out and then reset them in this stack, so it doesn't lose very much volume. Then I'll go to the really thick part of this clump, and I'll just cut a line straight across, just so it's a little bit easier to work with. And I'll just tie this in right about there. Start with a couple loose wraps just to keep it in place. And we can tighten it up as we go along. Looks pretty good. Try and cut this off as good as I can. Just wrap our thread over this and clean it up. You could definitely add, if you wanted to, some glue right here, just to give this fly a little bit of a longer life if it got eaten a bunch of times, but I usually don't. Next step, we are going to grab some, this is Troutsman gold, just like Flashabou, kind of, just gold Flashabou really. You can do a bunch of different colors of flash, whatever's kind of suiting the theme of the fly. I'll usually grab 2 strands and cut them off. Then kind of even them up as much as I can. Bring the thread back to about the middle, and I'll split these right around the thread and pull them tight. Get it on top of the hook, and then just start working my thread backwards. Split it with my fingers. Try and get 2 strands. Got one kind of twisted up. Try and get 2 strands on either side of the hook, and then just slowly work my thread backwards. To about there. And work it back forward. Back to about the middle. You can clean this up a little bit. I usually like them to end either before or right at the end of that craft fur. And I like to grab a brown marker. You could use, on this fly, you could use brown, you could use black, you could use orange, but what I have here is just brown. I'm just going to put a little bit of barring on here. I've tried and fit 3 on here, 3 marker strokes. Get at that crustacean shrimp kind of look. All right, now we're going to use our Hairline UV Polar Chenille Olive Copper UV, and again we're going to cut off about maybe 3 inches, 3.5 inches. Oh, you know what? I forgot. We gotta tie some silly legs in. So we're gonna use Hairline Barred Crazy Legs Orange Gold Flake. We're just gonna pull 1 leg off this clump. We're gonna, again, kind of like what we did with that Flashabou, we're gonna fold that leg, round our thread, bring it up to the hook, We'll softly work our thread backwards. And these legs we're just going to put right on top. Right about there. That looks good. Perfect. Almost forgot. Alright, so going back to the UV polar chenille, olive copper UV. We're just going to tie a little bit of this in. Lock it in first. Looks good. And we're just going to palmer this on. And this is going to look like, usually it looks like a hot mess, this part of the fly, until we go back with our thread and kind of clean it up. So don't get too worried if it's not looking super pretty at this point. Looks pretty good. We'll lock that in. Try and free up some of those hairs from my thread. A little messy. Clip off that tag end. We're going to grab all these fibers, try and pull them back if we can. Free some of them up if possible. Yeah. I'm just going to work my thread back over top of it. To about right there. Looks good. Then we're going to grab our Palmer chenille medium root beer, and we're going to cut off about the same length, about 3 inches. We're going to repeat this step that we just did with the previous material. Lock this in. Take our thread back forward. Palm this on, and you can twist this material just to try and get all the fibers pointing in the right direction if you need to, in combination with kind of pulling them back when needed. See if we can get one more turn in here. Like it. Again, we're going to pull these fibers back, bring our thread back kind of over top of them as much as we feel is necessary. Try and get them pushed back a little bit. So that looks pretty good right there. And then the last step, as far as materials go, we're going to grab some tarantula brush in 1 inch, and this is skull paint color. This stuff's awesome. I use it in a lot of different flies. It just adds a lot of good body to your fly. It's got these rubber legs in it that produce a lot of movement in the water. I think it's just a really, really good material for redfish flies. So we'll lock that in there, and then we're going to bring our thread in front of the eyes, because that's where we're going to try and finish it right there. And same thing, pull the fibers back. We're going to try and palmer this on the best we can. Try not to trap too much of the material under there. We'll go back and pick some of this out when we're done. Try to get one more wrap in there. Good. Then I'm going to pull this tarantula brush right in front of the eyes and just try and lock it in right there. Just get it a few wraps. Typically you don't want to use your nice scissors, but because mine are already dull and I use it for this all the time, I'm going to use mine, but I would not recommend it. Recommend using some trash scissors for something like that. Then we'll just go back and kind of clean this up. If there's any kind of remaining fibers poking out, we can always go back with the lighter and burn those away. Just go ahead and whip finish this. Back with the lighter. See those rubber legs burning away. Looks pretty good. Come back, I'll try and pick out a little bit of this tarantula brush. Free up any fibers I got caught in there. My bodkin. Good. And if you want, you don't have to do this. Sometimes I'll just try and trim up just a little bit of these fibers. Just like that. Then to finish it off, I'm going to be using some UV Cure Solar Res. This is the thick hard. I'm sure you could get away with the thin hard as well. So I can get it to come out. Dab some of that in there. Get on the underside of the thread. Looks good. Use my bodkin to kind of spread this glue just a little bit and even it out. And we'll zap it. That's it. It's your Redfish Crack. It's an awesome fly for redfish. I use it all the time. I've had a lot of really good days with it. It's pretty much always tied on to one of my fly rods when I head out to go target redfish. And it's worked in all seasons for me, really. It's worked really well in the winter. It's worked well in the summer. You can tie it in a bunch of different colors. I'll tie them all in black sometimes. I'll tie them in white. And depending on the water clarity, sometimes different colors work better. But this is kind of in my opinion, the more traditional redfish crack color. And it tends to work really well in a lot of different scenarios. So hope you enjoyed it. Go tie you some up and good luck.